What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 3 of Serie Addicts. Here with you again. My name is Marco Romano, and once again, I'm with
Tito Yang in the house.
Tito Yang, and we're gonna talk about Match Day 2. Right, we're gonna look back, look at all the games that happened throughout the weekend. Some terrible predictions on my part moving into this weekend. Right, but we'll talk about some of the games, what we saw, what we liked, what we didn't like. We'll also do a preview for Match Day 3, even though we have a international break in between. Want to talk a little bit about Italy's chances to qualify for this World Cup. Hopefully, we do make it to the World Cup this year. If not, I'm rooting for USA again. Go USA! And we'll also talk a little bit about the transfer market, which just is wrapping up right now. I think it already wrapped up, depending on when you're watching this. But talk about some of the last minute moves from certain teams and some teams that did not pull the trigger, right, and make some changes to their squads here to kick off the new season. Other than that, Tito, was there anything else that you wanted to make sure we talked about in the episode?
No. I think you covered everything. I think we can get started right with the results of the weekend. Starting off with the first game, Cremonese and Sassuolo. So Sassuolo didn't have the best time in their first match, but they seemed like they were gonna be putting up a fight in this one. They came back from 2 goals down against Cremonese, who are suddenly somehow tied for the league lead with two
Yep.
straight wins. I mean, it's rare for a team like a lower table team like this to come out straight out the gate with 2 straight wins. That's gonna be 6 big points for Cremonese, like towards the end. But yeah, Terracciano and Vasquez were cut off by Pinamonti and Berardi. But then at the end, a penalty converted by De Luca put Cremonese 3-2 over the
Yep.
edge. What do you think of that game?
I think one of the best matches in the weekend. We had a weekend where we did not see a whole lot of goals. It was not the same as match day one, which we were spoiled a little bit in some of the matches we saw. Obviously, to your point, Cremonese, right, second win in a row. Amazing start to the season. Pretty much nobody expected them to kick things off in the way that they have,
Yeah.
right? Especially with the win on match day one. Just, but a great goal, a great game, right? It was back and forth on both teams created opportunities, right? You could see at the very least that Sassuolo was trying to rectify things and get back uh, to what they thought they would be doing this season, but unfortunately they felt a little bit short. For me, a couple of notes: Filippo Terracciano's first goal with Cremonese, right? Always nice to see in a player, right, starting with a new club to get on the board. Um, to your point, right, a good goal from Pinamonti as well. I don't think you mentioned that, but gotta mention it. Interista, right, from the Primavera squad. Always likes seeing him playing well for whoever he's playing. He played at Genoa. Right now, he's playing for Sassuolo. So nice to see him back on the score sheet. And to your point, the De Luca penalty, right, in extra time to just win it for Cremonese and put 6 points on the board. And to your point,
Very
tied
important.
with the big dogs at the top of the table.
Yeah. Um, I was gonna say to all the people joining that don't know, the lower Italian divisions, right? Like Marco's not wearing a Cremonese, the Sassuolo shirt. He's wearing a Montesilvano shirt. Montesilvano is actually the place where that team is from. That is not the sponsor in this case. So that's not a Sassuolo jersey sponsored by Montesilvano. That is actually a Montesilvano jersey, even though the colors are exactly the same. So just wanted to make that clear for
or
people.
or a Chieti jersey because
It's
these
a
are the Chieti colors as well.
learning experience, okay? So we know. So the next game, Allegri turned around his uh,
Yeah.
first match day defeat against precisely Cremonese. And now he was able to get this victory 2-0 against Lecce. Pretty solid looking Milan on the second game at least.
I mean, better. I would say better. I saw some improvements, saw some of the same kind of shortcomings that I saw on match day one. Right, got off to a very quick start. Right, Gabia scored a header, which was taken away for a foul,
Yeah.
but that was in the third minute. After that, right, Milan just kind of had a pep in their step. They were being aggressive. I would say before Jimenez scored the goal, he did miss a couple of chances where there were clear chances, one on one against the goalkeeper and put it wide. So still a little bit of concerns for me and him being the go-to and starting number 9 for Milan. So that concern is still there. He did score from a great pass by Salamakers as well, but he was ruled offside, right? So not only missing chances, but then right having chances taken away because he's just a little bit eager, one step ahead. But great pass from Salamakers, who, in my opinion, was the best
Yeah.
player for Milan the last match. He played awesome in this game as well. Lustovic scored a goal with a Modric pass from a dead ball. That was actually a pretty good header because it was a pretty difficult angle. He kind of headed it with the back of his head to the second post. Really solid goal from him, and the Christian Pulisic goal was all hustle.
Yeah, true.
He had no business of winning that ball in between two tall trees and defenders. It falls to his feet. He has an amazing first touch.
He's just
He's
awake.
ahead of the defender,
Boom.
and then just an amazing finish, like
Yeah.
you would expect from somebody with his quality.
And speaking of Milan, they got a couple of nice reinforcements in the last days of the market. Adrien Rabiot is joining them, and then Nkunku as well. They got that striker, right? Christopher Nkunku from Chelsea, who's a pretty tricky baller.
Mhm.
Pretty dangerous in the box too. Probably not the number 9 type striker, but you know, they still send Jimenez packing to Bournemouth, and they're gonna keep, and they got a Nkunku, Odogu, the defender from Wolfsburg, and then Rabiot, plus Connie the Winter. So Milan went shopping. They went shopping. Now they have
Yeah,
Jashari, Modric, and Rabiot in that midfield, along with Samuel Erici as well.
Salamakers, who has been playing
Salamakers,
great.
yeah, it's pretty
Loftus Cheek.
Loftus Cheek. Yeah, he's got some toys in the toy box, Allegri, to play with
Yeah,
now. I
they
think.
they need it. They needed options, right? Especially up front, right? With Nkunku, it's going to be interesting to see how he can fit into that
Yeah,
Milan squad, especially with Leao
and Leao's
playing.
out right now, right? So he's not playing yet. He's you know.
But this gives them Allegri a chance to kind of figure it out. I don't know how much longer Leao is going to be out for, but it gives him a little bit of time to just play around with his new toys, the new options, right? That they got. But to your point, right, compared to other teams, Milan did make a last minute splash in the transfer market for sure.
Yeah, they made a little sprint there. Uh, and then let's see what the next game was on the list
We
there.
got Bologna versus Como.
Bologna Como. That that they put a stop to Como's little run there. Bologna.
Yep,
They did.
solid game from Bologna. I think Como, like another team that we'll talk about later,
Yeah.
um, looked like a completely different team than what they looked like in their first match. But props to Bologna. Bologna started aggressive, right? They created a lot of chances in the early stages.
Yeah.
In the goal that they scored, props to Castro. He wins the ball amongst three defenders, right? And he puts in a cross and sets up the goal. Great goal and great finish by Orsolini as well. Orsolini has been playing great, right? Good to see
Yeah.
him
He's
start off
solid.
with a bang because we also need him for Italy. We
Mm-hmm.
need all Italian players right now firing on all cylinders, especially those that have a shot on representing the national team, so we can get to the next World Cup.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty
But
happy that Bologna brought Bernardeschi back as well, because I mean
mm,
he's a technical player, right? Like sometimes those types of players help you unlock the other team's defenses. He hasn't. I mean, I don't think he's in Serie A shape yet. He's gonna take him some
mm,
time to get back, like the rhythm and the physical form, coming back from the MLS. But I thought that was a nice pickup for Bologna actually. Um, they got some. They brought back a couple of veterans from like Ciro Immobile, for example,
yeah.
and Bernardeschi. And Ciro Immobile always does well in Italy. I don't know, he's not done that well when he's gone to other countries, but he's done well in Italia with whatever team he plays for there. He's,
Two solid Italian players that are gonna give you a lot of experience, right? Obviously, they're both past their prime and beyond their best.
yeah,
But they're gonna add experience. They're gonna add leadership. Whenever there's a time where you need to slow down the pace or pick up the pace, they can be the ones controlling the
mm-hmm.
flow. And again, just being that voice in the pitch.
Yeah,
So good pickups. But I saw the Bologna that I'm accustomed to seeing on this match versus match day one. There were a lot more solid, right, in their setup, in their formation, and that paid results, right. They got the win. They stopped a Como team that looked amazing in the first match, created so many opportunities, scored some great goals, hit the post a couple of times. I know I was very hyped on them. Uh,
yeah.
uh, time for me to hit the brakes a little bit, right.
Well,
They're
it's a
still a
different
great
thing when you're
team,
when you're
but
playing away as well. They were at home in the
it's a bit
first
of a
match.
reality check.
It's easier to play at home. They're away against Bologna. Bologna did not change their manager. There's a lot to be said also for consistency. So you know, I don't know. I think Bologna is a more mature team and organization
Yeah.
versus Como. We're just coming up now. And also, like you said, they brought back a couple of veterans with experience, which you said they're past their prime, but so is Loftus Cheek and so is Modric. You know what I mean? So is Kevin De Bruyne, and we're not really talking about them in past their prime terms. So I think Bernardeschi and Immobile could still do well in Serie A. I'd be surprised if they don't. Moving
We shall
on.
see.
Yeah. Moving on, Parma and Atalanta played to a 1-1 draw. Both of the goals scored, almost in the 80th minute, like that 79th and the 85.
Yeah.
Pasalic and Cutrone. Not a
Yeah.
super exciting game, I guess. Only 3 shots on goal each. Um,
Yeah, not a whole lot, right? Gold from Pasalic in broken play, just a ball that was just being pinballed around the box, falls to Pasalic, and he had an amazing shot, granted. So good go for him, but for Atalanta after their first match, um, still lacking fluidity, right? Still lacking the type of game that we're accustomed to seeing from Atalanta in the Gasperini days and before Gasperini, right? So still some work to do, right? I hope that Lukman coming back fixes some of that in the attacking part of the midfield. But again, a goal from a broken play. The second goal, good cross from Valeri, right? There was a header from another player in the middle. Great save by the keeper, but a tapping to seal the game, to tie the game up, right? So kind of a stalemate, right? Both teams that looked a little bit better than their first match, but still have a ton of work to do.
yeah, I would say that it's a better result for Parma than it is for Atalanta, obviously, because Atalanta is one of those teams that's looking to try to get back in European qualification, and they're not gonna do that by drawing against teams like Parma, who are expected to be fighting to get relegated. But we'll see how that develops. I mean, along the season, I think they have a good enough roster for them to eventually figure it out. But honestly, I would predict that Ivan Juric is not gonna make it to January or February. I don't think he's gonna make it. He's not showing any signs of having a grasp on what this team needs to be doing. And then the Lukman situation, it's kind of weird because he wasn't even on the bench. As far as I know, he's not injured. So
No, he's not injured. It's just part of the drama, right? He was included on the team for the Champions League. To your point, um, but that's more on the management. I think you got to give a new coach some time, right? I don't think this is a Ten Hag Leverkusen situation where dude was there for 2 months and management said like, "Hey, we appreciate it, but get the fuck out of here."
no,
I
it's
think you
not
got to
gonna be
get.
like
I
that.
think you got to
But
give him a little bit of time, right? They made a ton of changes, not only this season, right, but last season got rid of a ton of players as well.
bro, Juric,
So you got to give him some time.
somebody's gonna come tell Juric, hey, bro, I need to start seeing results, and he's gonna cuss them out, and then they're gonna kick him out of the club. That shit's gonna happen. Like he's better
No,
start winning
if
some.
that happens, that's on him. But I feel
He
that
better
as
start
a new
winning some games.
manager, with all the changes that they've made, you should give him a little bit more time to kind of implement his mentality, his playing style, right? And to figure out what team he can actually field. Because to your point, Lukman is not even playing; he's not injured. It's just part of the drama. Eventually, he will come back and get integrated to the system Udish is trying to put together. But you got to give him a little bit more time, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's got a decent enough team, to work with. I just feel he needs to. I don't know. Something's missing. I think the whole Lukman situation is throwing the team off psychologically. It might be.
Maybe that's why another reason, right? Give him a little bit of time. Wait till Lukman comes back. If Lukman gets a couple of games in with the new squad and they're still the same, then you make that decision.
Yeah, I don't see Urich lasting. That's just my take on it.
Do we want to start the poll? What month is
Like,
Yurich gonna
how
gonna get
long?
told to get the fuck out?
How long is Urich gonna last? Honestly, that's if you had to ask me, or if we were actually running that poll that you're talking about, and you asked me like who's the first manager that's gonna get sacked, that's who my money would be on right now. To be frank.
Not a bad pick.
Yeah.
Not a bad pick.
Anyways, not a great start for him either. But let's see. Napoli Cagliari, Sambo Anguissa on the 95th. That
It's
was,
that it reminded me of in Juventus back in the Conte days where it's like you knew it was like the 90th minute or extra time and you couldn't count on the match ending like that
no.
because something always happens at the end.
Yeah.
Solid game. Napoli created chances. McTominay had a couple of good chances. Right, contested match. They couldn't put any of those chances away. And to
Yeah.
your point, just the Cagliari fell asleep for one Buongiorno cross,
Yeah. Cagliari was all
and
catenaccio.
Sam Buanguisa was able to put it in the back of the net. But to your point,
Yeah.
the last minute of the
16
match,
fouls.
I didn't see the entire match, so for me it
Yeah.
was even more painful because I
Yeah.
was, but I knew it's a Conte team. Don't celebrate. They gave him 5 minutes. I'm like, they're gonna score.
One stat that really kind of pops out is Napoli had 42 crosses to 6 crosses from Cagliari. It's like 42 crosses, but then 6 shots on goal out of 42 crosses. So Cagliari was definitely winning, a lot of those headers in the box with their catenaccio style defense. But in the end, like you said, the relentless amount of pressure, and then the being in the right place at the right time, or just like basically swamping the other team's box with players. Plus, you have physical players like Sambanguisa, who is a guy that knows how to get near the ball, he'll create those chances. You can't count those guys out. So punteggio pieno, as they say, going to match
Listen,
day 3.
props on Conte as well because I don't know if he started with Buongiorno. He may have come off the bench, but still, always believe 95th minute they can get it done, get all 3 points.
Yeah, Buongiorno came in on the 69th minute.
There you go. Yeah. So
For
so
Jesus.
again, great call from Conte. Granted, he probably didn't expect him to put in the cross that got him the win, but great decision.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's the 3 points that counts. So
Yep.
no matter how they got them. So the last game of Saturday was actually Roma at Pisa. Roma at Pisa was not a super eventful game either, right? Just one goal scored by Sule, I believe. Yeah, Sule. Um,
No, Roma's pizza is really, really good. You go to Vecchia Roma, you could get a couple of slices there. It's
Pisa, 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 Pisa. Different
no,
thing.
a good match. Pisa actually created a couple of opportunities to start off the match. Right, it wasn't a one-way game. Um, I did want to call out because just because it's going to set up what I want to talk about a little bit later on, a little bit better. Potential penalty for Roma, right? That was not given.
Mm.
Interesting enough, right? Because I feel when you have a defender in the box with the arm stretched out and they cross the ball and it hits his arm, usually you call that a pen. Goes to VAR, goes to VAR. For some reason, pen not given,
The
right?
only the only
Just
time
leave it
they
at that.
typically don't call that if there's like a near deflection and there wouldn't have been any time for the person to kind of remove
No,
the
it
arm
was
and the arm is in a natural position. Like if the arm's not like completely
okay.
outstretched, like so it depends. It
Our
depends.
arm was stretched, arm was kind of like this, but stretched,
Yeah.
right? But we'll come back to that a little bit later,
Didn't
okay?
change
When
the
we talk
result
about
though. Like
another
Roma still took it.
controversial penalty call this weekend in Serie A. But I did want to call that out. Sule scored the goal in the 55th minute, right? Could have had a brace, but actually scored a goal that was then later ruled out for offside.
Yeah.
But he had a pretty solid game. And solid start for me for Gasperini. It's a Gasperini team, right? You don't concede. Score one goal, you get all 3 points, right? I'm pretty sure everybody at Roma is happy with that result, and they're off to a good start.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. Top of the table, along with Juve, Cremonese, and Napoli.
Definitely the top four that I had to at the start of the season.
Oh yeah, sure, 100%. Let's. Then the next game was Juventus and Genoa. Juve.
Yeah.
They didn't really look that good in the first half. Genoa was kind of like tight. Juve couldn't really find like the space for the final pass. I think Jonathan David was finding it a bit hard to find the same spaces that he found in the previous match, but not a lot of shots on goal really in the first 45 minutes. A couple of moves by Yildiz and a couple of interesting plays, but by Conceição was trying a bit too hard, getting knocked out, very physical defending, particularly by Ellertson, who was like a real pain in the ass the whole game. Uh, and it's what you expected Genoa to do against Juve, right? Because they're not going to be able to compete from a technical perspective, so they're going to be very physical. Colombo was throwing bodies around, and I think Juve had a little bit of trouble in the beginning until they swapped out Locatelli as usual, right? They swap out Locatelli in the midfield, um, and then we usually start playing better. Nobody else that supports Juve wants to say that because he's the captain and he's Italian, and like the last thing we want to do is put another Italian player on the bench. But honestly, anybody, McKennie, Cope Miners, anybody you put in there is gonna do a better job than Locatelli because Locatelli is not a Juve level player. I get tired of saying that. I think
Mm,
Tudor is also seeing it. If you notice the first game, he subs Locatelli out at halftime almost. I think it's the first 51st minute. In this game, he subs him out in the 62nd minute, right, of a game that he's not winning. I mean, it's different if you're up two goals to nothing, and you sub out your captain, right? Like, yeah, let me rest him. But at this point, we haven't scored yet, and you sub Locatelli out. Um, you know, I think they're starting to see it, and I think eventually Locatelli's gonna be phased out of the starting lineup. Um, João Mario had a rough time as well in that game. I don't know. He was playing on the left side, which is usually not his typical side. I think US still had to finalize a couple of the transfers. Now Nico Gonzalez is out. Savona left. And Zegrova came in. And also Openda. That's gonna change the dynamics of the team. Vlahovic ended up staying. See, I told you they weren't gonna give him to a direct rival. And so he scored the game-winning goal again. I mean, not again like the first match he scored. He wasn't the game winner, but he's just still kind of like the goal to seal it. And now he scores the goal to win it. And so I think Juve at the end was like, he's gonna cost us 12 million to keep here until the end of the year. I guess we'll eat that versus, you know, selling him at a loss. He's a player that's still going to score 15, 20 goals if you give him enough starts. So, I think he's very well suited to the way Igor Tudor plays. And I think he would get a lot more chances to score with with the way the team is set up now, having Ildis and Conceição so close to him, on the attack. It's almost like you have three attackers, two of them attacking the edge of the box, and then Vlahovic a little bit forward. So I think it's a good setup. But it'll be interesting to see how Tudor uses Openda and Zegrova, particularly, the new signings that came in, and who's gonna be kind of replaced or displaced depending how well they do. I would expect Zegrova to start probably on the right side, but I don't know if he's gonna play where Kalulu has been playing, or whether he's gonna play where Conceição has been playing, because Zegrova is also a lefty, so he's a left-footed player who can take his defender on and create chances. So let's see what happens with that.
Right, I honestly have no idea who that person is, but once he plays and does good, I can talk about him because I know nothing about him.
Yeah.
But for me, actually, I think Parma was more of a threat to Juventus on the first match. Um, Not a whole lot of opportunities created by Genoa, which I'm sorry for, because I'm always rooting for Valentin Carboni, and I will root for him to do well. Want to give Leali some flowers. I think Juventus actually did have a couple of good opportunities in the first half. One from Gatti, that a ball that was crossed into the box. He put it in the upper corner. Great save by Leali. Then Yildiz had another great shot. Usually, I would say it is what it yield is, but in this occasion, great save by Leali.
Yeah.
And then on the rebound, David, I gotta mention it, missed a sitter 1 meter away from the
Yeah.
goal with the
It happens.
goalkeeper on the ground, and he blasted it above the goal.
Yeah. That was a pretty Vlahovic thing to do.
Yeah.
So,
For Blaovic, great segue because I think it was a great forward
yeah.
goal, right?
Yeah.
Great header.
Mm-hmm.
Put He was exactly where he needed to be, right? Great cross and great header to seal the victory this time. To your point, he sealed the victory last time, and this one he gave them the 1-0 victory. So Vlahovic continues to prove himself, and it might be, well, what you're mentioning. Maybe in this system, he's going to be able to thrive. So now it's going to be harder for the new player and other players, right, to try to fight Vlahovic for some time if he continues to play like this, and it's going to be tough for Tudor to continue to bring him off the bench if he's the one that ends up turning the match around. So
Yeah,
it's going to
but
be interesting, but solid win for Juve, right?
yeah,
Again, no goals conceded, which I would expect, same as Napoli. So good victory, good for Vlahovic, and let's see what happens now with how Tudor is going to move some of those pieces around in the upcoming matches.
I foresee he's going to against some teams that might be a bit more physical, bigger defenders or like different style of play. I'm sure he's gonna want to try having some of those bigger strikers on the pitch, right? Like maybe one day he'll play Vlahovic and Jonathan David, play Jonathan David where Yildiz is, and then maybe play uh, Zegrova instead of Conceição. He's not that much bigger, right? But yeah, Conceição is smaller. He can take less direct physical contact than Zegrova can. And Zegrova is the other interesting thing is Zegrova was Jonathan David's teammate at Lille. So they both come from the same team and they were playing together last season. So it's already kind of like a good relationship between the two. So I'm expecting them to play together as well. Um, it's gonna be interesting. I think definitely Tudor is gonna try playing with two strikers at some point because now he has a lot of options. Openda is another player that is gonna be it's gonna be very interesting to see where and how he plays. He's also a very physical player, right? That thrives with space to run because he's fast, but he can put a body on somebody as well because he's strong. So very interesting, combo of strikers that Tudor is gonna have at his disposition. And then the question is gonna be what is he continue? He's gonna continue with the double trequartista formation with Yildiz and Conceição behind the striker. Let's see how long that lasts. That's the only part of the tactics which I think we might see changing if if they're not getting the results they want. But so far so good. So I have to say I like the way it's going, but I still want to see what it looks like against like a proper team, because to all respect due to Genoa and um, who we play the first game against Parma.
Yeah, you don't have to wait. You don't have to wait that long. Next match is against Inter, so we'll see.
Yeah, so yeah, exactly. Although Inter, well, we'll talk about Inter in a second, but not a bad start for Juve and Tudor. Alrighty, so moving along. Yeah. The next game after Juve was Torino Fiorentina.
Yep, snooze
Boring.
fest.
Yeah.
Not really. I don't even have anything in my notes. Good battle, right? I think both teams created some chances. Some good saves by De Gea. I think De Gea, again, super underrated goalkeeper. Manchester United is kicking themselves in the ass repeatedly
No, they're not
for
because
letting him go.
they have Donnarumma now.
I don't know. Manchester United, no,
No, Man
no.
City. Oh, sorry,
He's
City.
Manchester City.
I thought you said
Man United
yeah,
paid a ton
United. Right.
for Onana. That didn't work, right? Got another younger goalkeeper, right? Had the opportunity to go for Dibu Martinez, whose experience has won the Copa America, won the World Cup, right? Instead, they go for a young rookie. Had an opportunity, to your point, to go after Donnarumma. I think maybe the fact that they didn't have Champions League kind of swayed Donnarumma a little bit more towards the Manchester City side.
Yeah.
Um, but again, it's like De Gea, awesome goalkeeper. He's done amazing since coming to the Serie A, right, with Fiorentina.
Mm-hmm.
But again, one thing that I did wanted to point out at the end of the game, Gosens has a chance to win it for Fiorentina. They cross the ball. header by Gosens, and it's actually Moise Kean who takes the ball out of the goal for Fiorentina to not
That
get the
guy,
winner and Gosens to get the winner,
that guy,
which
man.
ironic because it was that type of match. It was just definitely not the best watch,
Yeah.
and the result clearly showed that.
Well, I hope Moise Ken gets called up to Italy squad for sure. I don't know if they already put out the
Yeah,
list. Did
I
they?
agree. I agree.
Um, they might have.
I
He,
believe they did. I haven't seen the full list. Maybe we can
yeah.
pull it up a little bit later on and go through it, give our opinion, because I'm curious to see with how crucial these next couple of matches are for Italy, who they actually called up.
Yeah, and it's got Tuzo. So it's interesting 'cause it's going to be first games in charge.
Hopefully, it's some players that are going to bring his type of physicality and mentality.
Yeah, yeah, hopefully. Who's his assistant? He should get Daniele De Rossi. Like,
I would not be against that.
all right, I know you're talking about the Italian team because you don't really want to talk about this next game that we need to
Oh no, I've
analyze
been
now.
waiting. Tee it up. Tee it up.
And so Inter Udinese.
I've been
Inter went up
patiently waiting for this moment.
Inter went up with a Denzel Dumfries goal, and then
No. I'm gonna talk about this one. And I guarantee that if we had this show after the match, you would have seen what a Serie A and Inter fan with Tourette's would be like, because I was cursing out everybody from management down to the kit guy. Uh, for me, great start to the match, right? Inter kept it on from what they did on the first on match day one. Dumfries scores a
except for the
nice
scoring the
goal,
5 goals.
but then they get called. Inter gets called for a penalty in the box for Dumfries, and this is why I wanted to talk a little bit about the Roma penalty not being given. We're talking about a ball that's going out of bounds at least 4 to 5 meters away from goal. The player's not even trying to cross it in. He's literally just trying to prevent from the ball to go outside. Heads it downwards. 2 feet away is Dumfries, who's also going for the ball with his arms like this, and it hits his arm, and they call a pen.
That's where they messed up.
Behind them, right behind them, 2 Inter players. So it wasn't like there was any opportunity or nothing, because he wasn't even heading the ball towards the goal. He was just heading it, try to keep it in play. Somehow that gets called a penalty. I'm guessing players are expected to jump in the air and then swing their arms, which will completely throw off their momentum and cause them to fall awkwardly and get
They gotta
injured.
go like that. They gotta go like that.
Or jump like this, to your point.
Yeah.
It's the dumbest shit ever, right? Because it has a huge impact on the game, right? That changed the feel. It gave the other team some confidence. Udinese, you could tell, gained some confidence from that. Amazing goal from Ata. That was completely on Inter's defense, which is one thing that I don't like about Inter's defense. They're hesitant to put pressure on the ball. They give the players space, and Ata made him pay. It's a great shot.
Yeah.
But the physicality, I think it was the blueprint of at least the Inter team as it stands now. If you want to contest and potentially beat them,
Yeah.
you have to be more physical than them.
Yeah, Ata and Ezebue.
Udinese have some MMA fighters
Ata and
playing
Ezebue
in their
are
club.
really good. Like, they're interesting players. Ezebue.
From Davies to Solé,
Yeah.
these dudes are thoroughbreds.
They're
They're like jacked.
Ezebue and
Right.
Ata are pretty strong.
Acerbi was struggling, right, to contain Davies up front, right.
Yeah.
Same with the other defenders. Solé, Jesus Christ, the player Inter should have gone. Solé, he was him and who was the other? I think it was Eriksson. Were freaking walls.
Christensen.
Like he probably stopped like 10 balls that were headed goalwards. Great job by him, right? Which again sucks. I wanted to start this with like a roast. It's just sometimes ridiculous. Inter is owned by an American investment fund that doesn't invest on the players we freaking need.
But
Right? You have
they bought Akanji.
Marota.
You didn't like
Marota,
Akanji?
who was so terrible in the market that literally his equivalent this market was the same as his equity at Inter, which was 2%, which is 2%. It's terrible.
But you got to the Champions League last season, like to the final. How much more did you need to improve this team?
Okay, I'll give you this. I saw the F1 movie, which was actually pretty good. You have a car with the wheels that are almost like completely gone. Just because you finished that race first or second doesn't mean you're going to start the next race with the same wheels. Our best defender, still, we got a Kanji, which was good, and we can talk about later.
Right.
But still, our best defender is 37 years old and should be playing for Inter Miami, not Inter Milan. And if they didn't see that being a problem, they missed the ball. It
But
was a terrible for me.
that's why they
Other
got a
than
Kanji.
Sucic, I don't see anybody that can
And
change a game for you.
Bisek and Bastoni are very young. Like Bisek and Bastoni are kids, right? And then you have De Vrij, who didn't start, and Pavard you sold him, and now you got Akanji. But Akanji, where's he gonna play? He's gonna play for Acerbi, right? Like, or is he gonna play where Bisek is playing? Where is
No.
Akanji playing?
He's probably gonna replace Bisek.
Right, because
Or
Bisek is a kid.
he might have to change formations. He might have to think of something else, right? Because that was one other thing that I noticed, right? As soon as Inter went down, Kibu's reaction was to literally fall back to Inzaghi's go-to starting 11. Right? He essentially just replaced Sucic, who was having a good game, with Mkhitaryan, and literally had the same 11 that was Inzaghi's go-to 11. So for me, that didn't give me a whole lot of confidence in his ability. The
But
first time he
Inzaghi
has
was
an
winning with that
opportunity
team,
to make.
so you think just because Acerbi's there, like they don't really have anybody else who has the wisdom and experience to play in the middle of the defense like that?
No, De Vrij probably has the same kind of experience, but again, he's way over hill. He's way over his prime, right? And that's the issue. We have the second. Last year was the oldest team in Serie A. This year is the second oldest team. We made a little bit of improvement, 2%. Marota, 2%, like your equity.
You
at
got
Inter.
Bonnie, you got Bonnie who brought down like the age.
That Boni, which to your point, one of the glaring things with how physical Udinese's defense were and over towering our players offensively, we kept on crossing the ball into the box, going nowhere. We needed a Lukman, another failed transfer opportunity, somebody to create. To your point, Boni should have been Kibu's first sub off the bench.
Yeah.
If I would have done two changes, I would have put Boni in for Turam, who I made another joke in another forum about Turam that if he was toilet paper, you would probably be fingering yourself because he's that fucking soft. And sorry, but not sorry. But he just, again, fell back to his old ways of not being aggressive enough. They put a little bit of pressure. You get somebody that's bigger, more physical on you, and you fold. For me, I would have liked to see Boni. I would have liked to see actually him take off Çalhanoğlu and put on Mkhitaryan and divert back to the roles that Barella, Mkhitaryan, and Sucic were playing on that first match, where Sucic clearly showed that he can play probably Barella's role better than Barella. So if I were Kibu, I would be trying to figure out how to make Barella improve on the more defensive and orchestrator role that Çalhanoğlu typically plays, so Sucic can have a more free role like Barella typically does. But Sucic is a better passer than Barella. I already know that from the 3-4 matches that I've seen him play thus far.
I don't know. 100% I was not expecting Udinese, especially, after drawing with Verona at home, like the first match. I wasn't expecting them to come out and like beat Inter at San Siro. That was not in my bingo card.
They did have a few players that didn't play the first match, to your point, right? But still.
Yeah, but that I mean, Udinese is looking like they have a nice group of players that
they're physical.
Yeah, exactly.
They have
if they
a strong
can use that
team.
to their advantage.
It's not gonna be a gimme game. Nobody's
Right.
gonna see Udinese on their calendar and be okay. Yeah, I can't wait to get there because
Yeah. Yeah.
they're big, they're strong, they're tough, and that defense with Solé and I believe Ericsson's the other one. I apologize if he's not the one, but they
Christensen.
played so good
Christensen.
because we had a ton of
Not
chances.
Ericsson.
Inter had a ton of chances. We just
Yeah.
couldn't put the ball in the back of the net
Yeah.
after that Dumfries goal. But for me, that penalty call kind of completely changed that game. But props at the end of the day to Udinese for how well they were prepared. Props to their new coach, right, as well, for just having a great game plan that was better than anything Kiwu did after in response to them going behind. So
Yeah, it was kind of the same game plan, right? Because Udinese also played with like three center backs and like
yeah, it
the
was a
wide
similar
backs.
formation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So they kind of
But
mirrored.
Brother, listen, Akanji, and I'm not gonna make a big deal because Manchester City's been playing awful for anybody who follows the Premiership, and if they even how terrible they're playing, especially defensively, if they were willing to let Akanji go, and we are trying to get to a level where we can beat the Manchester Cities, the PSGs of the world in a Champions League final, and that's the kind of player that we're bringing in to start and have to depend on immediately. That's not good. I wish we had Sole, and I wish we had Sole, and I wish we had Lukman because I think we needed a little bit of both. We needed better, solid defense, and we needed creativity. Somebody that can create opportunities, take people on one, and score some goals. And it was a glaring holes in Inter's game right now. And again, for anybody that watched that, you have the blueprint. Be more physical than them, and you at the very least you'll be in the match and can probably beat them.
So are you worried against Juve now because we have Jonathan David and Vlahovic up front and Openda?
No, no.
Are you worried because we have Kalulu and Bremer and Gatti and they can be
I
physical?
think
I think
the
they're gonna
only
beat up Turam.
team, the only one that you said that maybe is Bremen, but other than Bremer, not really. I would
Gatti is
say
very physical.
defensively, the only team, and again, it's just a small sample in that match, but I think to me still Napoli is the better defensive team. I think I would put you as second and maybe up there kind of with Napoli, but I would give Napoli the edge just because it's a bigger sample
They're
of
better on
them
the
doing it.
flanks. They have better people defending on the
Yeah.
sides, right? But
But listen, I wouldn't be surprised if Matchday 8, if even with playing Inter, if you have only conceded like one goal or even no goals by that point.
well, we're playing Inter on match day 3, and we haven't conceded any goals.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That maybe one, but Inter have stuff to figure out because this game and this match, and again for me, Kiwu,
I think Inter are
he
gonna
had
beat Juve
his
on the
first
next match.
opportunity to make some good subs that
They're
can have
they're
an
they're
impact on the
gonna
game
struggle.
based on what was going on. And
They're coming to Allianz to play Juve. I don't think Inter are gonna win that match. You might win down the road when you figure that stuff out, but if you have better depth. But honestly, like the with the setup that Juve have right now, if they get that chemistry going, it's gonna be hard to beat us. Tudor just has to be brave and sit Locatelli's ass down from the beginning of the match. If he does that, Juve is gonna be a real problem. If he somehow finds a way to get Coop Miners and Turam working effectively, I think that's gonna be devastating for other teams because Coop Miners is a very good passer, and he creates a lot of chances with his passing. Um, I think Locatelli is slower. He takes longer to kind of see the pass. He's sometimes a little bit off in his execution. So I
oh, we
think
talked about it, dude.
yeah, he's way more
Locatelli shouldn't
technical.
start for Juventus.
Yeah,
Period.
he shouldn't. Anyway, last match that we haven't talked about before we talk about national team. Lazio woke up. Sarri was like, "I'm not having it. We got to get a big win," and they did. Elas Verona, obviously you expected them to beat Verona, but it was a statement win. 4 goals. Guendouzi, Zaccagni, Castellanos, and Dia. Starting with the 30-minute goal. So they were on it, Lazio, like the whole match, basically, against Verona. Not a lot more to say, right? Total domination.
Yeah, pretty one-sided match, right? Obviously, for me, it's always good to see Tati Castellanos get on the board. Right, I'm used to see him in here locally when he used to play for New York City FC.
You
So
have him in your
awesome.
fantasy football team?
No, no, but you could. I could always tell even when the few times that I saw him live over here playing for New York City FC that
Yeah.
he was a great player. There was definitely the quality there. Good to see him. He's been getting chance and time at Lazio. Good to see him just take advantage of that. Good goal, solid goal. Gendosi opened things up. He's another one that has been solid for Lazio for the last couple of seasons.
Yeah.
Has become a leader within that team. But to your point, kind of a statement victory, right? And it's nice to see Lazio, a team that you always expect to be kind of battling for those Europe positions, right? Just
Yep.
have a statement victory like this.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I think Maurizio Sarri basically took his cigar and put it out on top of some of the players' heads, and they really kicked on in this match. 70% possession, so it was like complete domination by Lazio, and Verona just Hellas didn't have answer. So let's see. Let's go to the internationals. Let's see who is on the list. Did they communicate the list?
Yeah, I want to see who's on the squad if it already came out.
All right, so let's see. Here is the entire list. We have in goal Marco Carnesecchi,
Nah, that's gonna be Donnarumma for sure.
Gianluigi Donnarumma, Alex Meret, Guglielmo Vicario. So it's gonna be Donnarumma starting, obviously.
Yeah,
But
but still, two amazing backup options. I wish
yeah,
we had the same at every position.
yeah, yep. Very. I think goalkeepers is probably the position where we are better off, right? Because we have a lot of
Yeah.
talented goalkeepers. In defense, they called up Bastoni, Bellanova, Calafiori, Cambiaso, Giovanni Di Lorenzo, Federico Di Marco, Federico Gatti, Leoni, and Gianluca Mancini. It's not a bad, honestly, not a bad squad.
Dude, you take Mancini, you don't take Buongiorno. Come on, what are we
Buongiorno, I
talking
think
about here?
he's been
You take
injured.
Gatti, you don't take Buongiorno.
He's just
Sorry,
out of form.
what are we talking
He's
about here?
coming back from an injury. I think that's why Buongiorno's not
Who
on the roster.
Leone isn't
Leoni.
even playing at Liverpool yet.
Yeah, but he played last season like the entire season as a starter, so that's why he's there. You also got to bring in some young players to give them experience. I don't think he's gonna play in these two matches unless we go up by a lot. But you know, I would expect this to be probably Bastoni, Calafiori, Bellanova, Cambiaso, depending on whether he plays with three in the middle or two. I don't know how
Listen,
Gattuso
for
is
me,
gonna
I'm
play.
surprised about Belanova. Right, 'cause I would consider Belanova as more kind of a winger, more
You play a
than a
right
defensive
back.
back.
You play a right back.
Um,
Or Di Lorenzo
to your
could,
to your
could start
to
there as
your
well.
point, it's got to be right. I'm hoping Calafiore starts
Or
with
Di Marco.
Bastoni. Di Marco's going to start as well. I don't know who you would put on the right side.
Cambiaso
Um,
probably if it's not
Di
Bellanova.
Lorenzo, I think that's one of the weak points in the national team. That side, I don't even trust in Di Lorenzo as much as I used to. Um,
But Cambiaso can play on the right
Bellanova,
if
very
they need
green,
it.
very
You
young.
know. So it's Cambiaso and Di Marco if they play with the three defenders. And the two,
Cambiaso is the better option for sure.
yeah, he's got more experience. He can
He's
play on the
rested
right.
as well because he didn't play match day 2 because he slapped another player in the face
That was
match day
stupid.
1.
That was stupid.
But yeah, probably he would be the best option on
Yeah,
that side.
yeah. I would be. It'll probably be Calafiori, Bastoni, and then one between Mancini and Gatti in the middle, and then he's probably gonna put Di Marco on the left, and I would say Bellanova or Cambiaso on the right side. Probably Cambiaso if he goes with the experience. And then in the midfield, they have Barella, Giovanni Fabian from Bologna. That's a new one.
We call up
Frattesi,
Interista as well.
Manuel Locatelli, why? Nicolò Rovella, Sandro Tonali. I think here's where it's Barella and Tonali,
And
100%.
those are two that you know for sure.
Yeah, and then the other one is the question. I don't see Rovella starting.
No, he's
I
not
don't
even.
see.
I don't think he's starting for Lazio.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he is he. I don't know.
He didn't start the
He
first
didn't
match.
start.
The
Yeah,
first
yeah,
match he didn't
that's true.
start. I don't know if he started the second match.
So Tonali and Barella, I would say would almost 100% surely start.
Yeah,
right.
those are for sure.
And those are the two you need, depending on the formation you're using, right? Because you would have Di Marco on the left and Cambiaso or Bellanova on the right, supporting that midfield too. And then you probably have somebody in front of them, which would have to be, let's see who's in the attackers list.
Do we have any like Orsolini,
Yeah,
Zaccagni,
Orsolini's there, Raspadori's there, Politano is there, Retegui,
Politano?
Scamacca, Zaccagni, Esposito. But see,
Zaccagni.
Retegui now went to the Saudi league, right? And I would think Moise Ken should start probably if you're looking at the strikers, but I don't know. Retegui is more of like a number 9. Moise Ken, I mean, they use him as a 9, but he's more of a player that runs at the defense too. Kind of he likes to play looking at the goal, not with the goal behind him. So I don't know.
To your point, the only two options
Scamacca
for that role would be not Scamacca. It would be either Retegui or Esposito. But Esposito's too green, too young.
You know, so if you look at it that way, then, but you know, you see the amount of attackers that he has. It's way more than the midfielders. So you would think he would just play with 2 in the middle, and then probably 3 in front of that somehow. Kind of like what Tudor is doing. And that,
I would say might.
Orsolini, Raspadori, and
we
like
haven't seen a Gattuso national team, so
right.
I don't know what he would go with. I think some interesting call-ups for sure that I wasn't expecting. I think probably Moise Kean with Retegui up top, and maybe throwing Orsolini or Zaccagni, somebody like that on one of the sides. But I don't know. I don't know what formation he would be playing for me. And to your point, I think we're clear on who we can expect, which would be Tonali and Barella in the midfield, right? And Bastoni, Calafiori, Donnarumma in the defense. But
yeah, and then
the
I would
rest,
be surprised if it's not.
We have a ton of holes.
You know. Oh, I think if you do that, like if you do Di Marco, Cambiaso, and then the ones you said, like in the middle, is Donnarumma and goal, Bastoni, Calafiori. The other one there, Gatti or Mancini. I don't really know who I would start between those two. They got more experience definitely than Leone. It's rough, man. It's rough. I hate seeing, Locatelli there. I'm like, we really don't have anybody better. That's sad.
Listen, man. The thing is that even with whatever combination he decides to put on the pitch, if we can't beat either fucking Estonia or Israel, like you should just go home. They should just go home. Because then we have Norway, right? And we have to essentially beat both Israel, Estonia, and Moldova, and beat Norway at their place to not have
Yeah.
to go into the playoffs.
I mean,
So honestly, I think we're gonna be unfortunately in one of those situations where they're gonna go into the playoffs again, and then it's like hoping to see who we get, who we draw in that playoff. Because I don't think we're beating Norway with Haaland, with freaking Odegaard, with Sorlov at their place, no less.
yeah, it's gonna be it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. But I mean, Norway is a lot better than a lot of people know, right? Because they have a lot of really solid players that play in the top leagues of Europe that are
Yeah,
not as famous as you know
they
as
know they
other
have a
countries.
solid squad.
They have a very good squad. But these
They
two
already showed
teams,
it. They beat us already.
that we're facing, we should be able, to
Yeah, if we
dominate
can't
them.
beat Estonia, Israel, or Moldova, come on, bro. Like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, we don't deserve to go to the World Cup if we can't beat
Yeah,
those teams. Like that's the bottom line. And then we need to
but
do
let's
some
see.
soul searching.
I'm excited just because it's Gattuso. Because for me, listen, I think if either we win or at least I get to see him punch somebody in the face.
Yeah, that'll be a thing. He's gonna kick somebody's ass in the locker room they're not if they're not committing to the tackles. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
somebody would show back to their respective team with a broken arm.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So let's talk a little bit about that transfer market, which just closed yesterday. A couple of last minute surprises for a couple of teams. Akanji being one of them. Interesting
Eh.
pickup. After all the talk about Lukman never came to Inter. Um, Not sure what happened there, but or what's gonna happen with the player now. They're probably gonna reintegrate him to Atalanta squad.
Yeah, no, great pickup for Inter. It's really gonna be. It's gonna really put them in a great position to open a Swiss bank account. They really checked that box, getting a Swiss player. It adds nothing for me.
So
Maybe
you
they
don't
got
think
a little bit
Akanji
better.
improves the
Still,
squad?
what's up?
You don't think Akanji improves the squad at all?
I think he may improve it a little bit. He adds a little bit more depth on defense, but I don't think he plays the role that he would have to play, which would he would replace Bisek and Pavard right on the right side of Acerbi and Bastoni. I don't think that's his best role on the pitch. But he should be an improvement because Bisek is awesome, but he's very young. Obviously, makes a lot of mistakes, which you can't do. Um,
I was really
but
surprised
again,
that they sell
but there's a
Pavard.
reason why Man City is letting him go. Man, Man City's sucking right now. Part of it is they're terrible defensively. If they were willing to let him go, knowing that their defense is one of the things where they're struggling, that tells you a whole lot. Let's see. To your point, I think it's a little bit of an improvement, but it's a major disappointment. Would much rather have Soleil back there with Chervi and Bastoni, especially after he kicked our asses this last match day, and apparently seemed like it was impossible to get the ball through him or
Yeah,
past him.
he was solid.
So disappointed again. It was disappointing. We missed out on Soleil. We ended up getting a Kanji, right? We missed out on Lukman. We got Diouf, who I hadn't even heard about before he joined Inter, and it's like, dude, seriously, we're trying to get through past that hurdle of
Bro, what are you
becoming the
talking
Champions
about?
League
It's
champ, the
Andy
finals.
Duff. It's Andy Duff. How can you disrespect the
Dude, it's
magnificence
disappointing. It's
of
disappointing, and it's
Andy Duff?
typical ownership of Inter not being. We just all the money that you got from a long ass season, from playing the FIFA Club World Cup, from getting to the Champions League final, and Como invest more money than you in the transfer market when
Well,
we're the
Como's
oldest
got more
team,
money than you.
just lost the Serie A title, just got embarrassed in the Champions League final, and literally Como spends more money in the transfer market than we do. Liverpool won,
Bro, but if a
and
team needs more help,
they
they're
got a
gonna spend more
ridiculous
money.
amount of world class players added to their squad.
You have a title squad that missed out on the championship by a couple of points in the last match day. Como has a newly promoted team. Of course, they're gonna spend more money, right? Like Inter, Inter already had like the basis for a very solid squad. But I agree in the fact that their transfer market was underwhelming, mostly because their main objective, which was Ademola Lookman, never materialized. I think that was the biggest downside to the transfer market. Akanji, I don't think
For me,
was brought
honestly,
in
I would say Sole
to
more than
fix
anything.
anything.
Or not even Sole, but the fact that you didn't bring in a better defender when that was a glaring area. Like, how many goals did Barcelona score on us? How many goals did we get scored? Did PSG score in the finals?
Yeah, it's
Right. The
obviously the
biggest
defense
problem
wasn't
is
good.
that we got an old defense that needs to be rejuvenated with world class defenders if you actually want to win the Champions League. That's it. You can't compete with clubs like Liverpool when they're literally won the Premiership and brought in freaking like a squadron of amazing players, right? Like they got Frimpong, they brought in Wirtz, they brought in Madueke, Ekitike, right? They brought in
Yeah,
now
that motherfucker.
Isak. It's like, are you
That's like
kidding me? How are you
130
gonna compete
million.
with those teams?
You can't because you don't have that type of money. You can't. Nobody's got that type of money, so nobody's gonna
Okay,
compete with
and I,
those
and I
teams.
get it, but at least get it one or two
Hey,
world
listen,
class players.
Bonnie was somebody that a lot of teams wanted. So, from that perspective, that was like
Bonnie,
a
but
early quick
again,
win
he
for
had
Inter.
he's one that you hope gets better, and
But
we
no, he's
know
already good.
hopefully hasn't reached his prime.
Obviously
But it's
not.
a
He's
development.
young.
Then you
Very young.
bring P. Esposito back, right? Sucic
Yeah.
was the best thing
Yeah.
they did in the entire market, in my opinion. But you didn't pay a whole lot for Sucic either,
But
right?
bro, you can't
So
say that
then
your team is like the oldest in the league and then complain when they bring a bunch of youngsters in.
no, but I'm saying good for them. And still, they brought in all these youngsters, and we're still the second oldest team in Italy. So they
I
really
mean,
didn't do a whole lot.
yeah.
And that, but what's the issue there? That still, again, your best defender is 37 years old and should be playing for Inter Miami. That's it.
Yeah.
We hope it's gonna get better. I know they're gonna figure something out and play better. Honestly, concerns with Kibu, but let's see. I think there were other things that happened in the market. Right, they were a lot more interesting than Akanji to Inter. Right,
Oh, definitely.
Juve estaron Colomwani. He went over to the Spurs.
Yeah, I
Right,
think we'll
but
be
Vlahovic
okay.
has been playing awesome. So
I think
we
we'll be
talked
okay.
about Rabiot.
Yeah. Rabiot to
Right,
Milan
Rabiot
was
was an amazing pickup.
great pickup. And also
Yeah, he
Christopher
and then
Nkunku.
Kunku.
Don't sleep on
Yep.
that dude. That dude is really good.
So I would say Milan. I don't know if you agree, but I would say Milan make kind of the bigger last minute splash in the market.
True. True.
I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that Napoli closed for Holland,
Yes, they did.
right?
Yep. Napoli
So
had
that's a
probably
good
the best
pickup.
market,
They
right?
needed that, right?
Yeah,
While Lukaku's out, and when he comes back, it's going to give them another option up front.
definitely.
So I would say those probably right the moves that Milan made and the move that Napoli made were the better ones to close out the market. Akanji to
Yeah.
Inter is good again. It'll make them a little bit better. Still, it's a glaring issue. We have two teams right now that we're going to be competing against, right, in this three-horse race that I called out at the beginning of the year, which are Napoli and Juve, and both, in my opinion, have better defense than Inter right now. So it's gonna be a tough battle, an uphill battle this season.
Yeah, I think Roma also had kind of a discreet market. They brought in Wesley, who's kind of an exciting player. He actually scored in the first match. Um, but then, not really a lot of other headline grabbing transfers from them, really.
Well,
Um,
I think Soleil is new, no, and he just scored in this last match.
who? Sule?
Soleil?
No, he was already there last year. He was
Okay,
a
I thought
Juve
he was new.
player, right? Sule?
No, but it's a Gasperini team, so alone, just by, in my opinion, by getting Gasperini alone, you just improve
Yeah.
your squad. I
But
think
like Leon Bailey,
they're already playing better football.
Ferguson, they went heavy British, the Roma team, right? Like Bailey, Ferguson, like it's like a very kind of EPL type of team.
Well,
I
we gotta
feel.
see if it works out. It worked out for Napoli with McTominay, right? Serie A MVP last season, so
True, 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 true.
yeah.
Yeah,
Now they're getting another failed EPL project
yeah,
in Holland, and I wouldn't be surprised if he does great at Napoli as well.
yeah. Listen, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not disappointed with Juventus transfer market because number one, they didn't sell McKennie, which I thought would be like a very stupid mistake if they did that. Number two, they didn't get Colomwani, but PSG was getting ridiculous with their demands. And also, Vlahovic had been scoring for the last 5 games, including like the Club World Cup and stuff like that, and all the friendlies. So he scored in all the friendlies, he's scoring in the first 2 league games. And we're like, if we're not getting the money that we want, right? It's better to just keep the dude and see what happens. Maybe they might, improve the relationship and whatnot. He might sign a renewal.
Or he plays
You
better,
know.
and you can sell it for more down the line.
No, we're not gonna be able to sell him because here's the thing. He's on the last year of his contract. So starting with January 1st of 2026, he's gonna be able to go negotiate with anybody for free. So if Juve don't reach an agreement with Vlahovic before that date to extend his contract somehow, in any way, they're never gonna be able to sell him for any money. So he's basically leaving for free. So we're paying 12 million. Like it's gonna be 6 million his salary, 2 million in bonuses, and then another
Yeah, we talked
bonus.
about this.
Yeah, another bonus uh, if he stays until the end of the year. So if we manage to sell him at Christmas, in the transfer window in January, that'd be great. But if we don't, then we're gonna lose him for nothing. But you know what? I'd rather have a player. He's being professional about it. He's playing well. He's training well. He's scoring goals. He knows he's not gonna start because of the situation that we're in. So if we can bring him in the 65th, and he can just run
Listen,
against
if
tired
he plays against
defenses.
Inter, if it's like tied and he comes in and he scores the game winner against Inter, how can you not start him the next match after that? Sorry, but at some point,
Because of the
if this
contract
keeps
situation.
happening, you might have to make the decision to, hey, let David get some time off the bench, let him get more accustomed to life in Italy, the Serie A, his teammates,
But that would be
because
assuming that David's not scoring because he scored in the first match, right? So if we get in a situation where David's scoring, Vlahovic is scoring, he's gonna keep coming off the bench because David is our main striker. That's what
how long is
he's
David's contract?
for 4 seasons. So you
The
know,
the urgency is more on Vlahovic's side. Either
no, but we don't need to.
play him so he can score and help you out, and you can sell him for more
We
next
can't sell him.
transfer window
We're not be
before he
able to
goes
sell
out
him.
on a free.
We're not gonna be able to
I
sell
don't
him.
know, but I tell you, he's surprising because we've dedicated a ton of time on the 3 episodes we've done to talk about Vlahovic, which was not expected, but he's scoring. As long as he's
Oh
scoring,
well,
he'll get more playing time,
yeah.
and if he continue to score, he'll get even more
Yeah.
playing time. But
But still, Juve had a. I think they had an awesome transfer window. They were able to get Nico Gonzalez out. They brought Zegrova in for like a lot less. Um, he's a better, I think, better fit for what we want him to do. Um, he's a lefty also, kind of like Nico, but he can take players on. Like he's pretty nasty with his dribbles. I love that we got Kalulu back. That was important because I thought he was like very solid, and like wherever you put him, he's gonna do a decent job. But we still had to pay for a lot of the players that we got last season because we had a lot of players that were on a loan with the right to buy them. So a lot of the people that we actually bought
The
this
only
season
team that spent more
were
than you with
already
this
there.
summer was Milan with 164.
Yeah,
You spent 130
it's a
and
lot of money.
137.3.
It's a lot of money.
Atalanta, surprisingly enough, I wouldn't have expected, was third on the list with 125.8. Napoli, 115 million. Como, 107.
That's crazy.
0.45, and then Inter below 100 million investment in the transfer market, even with all the holes we had.
Again,
Five
man,
teams spent more money than us
you're the
in
second
the
best team
transfer
in
market.
Europe. How much more do you need to improve?
As much as we need to be the best team in Europe.
You're never gonna like catch up to PSG in terms of spending.
No, but PSG is actually taking a different approach. Right? They're still spending, but they got rid of essentially all the superstar players. They got rid of Messi, Neymar, right, and all of those players, and then they actually started giving time to their younger prospects, and now they're a ridiculous team. Granted, they spent a ton of money on other players as well, and they still like
Yeah, they
Kvaratskhelia,
they
right?
got Dembele, they
Um,
got Kvaratskhelia,
but
Vitinha.
but yeah, for me, listen, it's not about obviously going crazy. I wouldn't expect it to be like a Liverpool situation and how much they freaking spent this summer, which was ridiculous compared to anybody else. But at the very least, you have a ton of holes. You know what the glaring weakness is, which is defensively, and you literally do nothing. You get a last minute signing in Akanji, who again he's gonna help improve a little bit, but he's not gonna fix the problem.
Well, guys,
Acerbi's still gonna start.
in case you were wondering how Marco feels about Inter's transfer market,
Two percent, two
he's
percent.
not
It's
happy.
Marota's equity at Inter. It's 2%.
Yeah,
That's how much effort he gave it
yeah.
last week.
Anyways, I think it's been a nice breakdown of match day 2 and the transfers, and we'll do a preview of match day 3 when we do our reaction to the national team matches. Um, I think we've basically, yeah, I think we've basically run the course of this second episode. So, Michael, you want to take it away?
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you everybody for watching. Please feel free to comment, like, and subscribe. Always appreciate. Love putting these together for you. Sorry for my hostility today, but I
Pretty
am really
bad.
passionate about this, and I was extremely pissed off during that match. I actually thought about doing a reaction. I'm glad that I didn't.
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
have regretted that. But thanks for joining. We appreciate you. Tito, appreciate the time. Hopefully, we get some W's here for Italy, for Azzurri, and ci vediamo pronto. Thank you, everybody. Peace.